You are standing in a stadium with 60,000 strangers. Your team scores. You scream. You hug the person next to you, someone whose name you will never know. You would never do that on a quiet street. Something in you changed the moment you walked through those gates. And the strange part is, you didn't notice it happening. Scientists have a name for this, but the real answer is far stranger than a name. It goes back to the very shape of your brain and to a question researchers have been chasing for over a century. When you disappear into a crowd, who is actually left behind? Start with your face. Your face is the most identifying thing about you. It is how your mother finds you in a crowd, how a stranger remembers you, how a camera picks you out. Every social interaction you have ever had has been tied to the fact that people can see you, name you, and hold you responsible for what you do. Now take that away. In the 1960s, a Stanford psychologist named Philip Zimbardo ran a simple experiment. He put ordinary women in identical hoods and asked them to deliver electric shocks to another person. Some wore name tags. Some wore hoods that hid their faces entirely. The hooded women delivered shocks twice as long as the ones whose identities were visible. Nothing else changed. Not their personality, not their morals. Only their visibility. Zimbardo called this deindividuation. It is what happens when the usual link between your identity and your actions gets cut. And a crowd, it turns out, is one of the easiest ways to cut it. Think about that for a second. You are not a different person in a crowd. You are the same person. But the part of your brain that tracks, "This is me, and I will be held accountable for this," has quietly gone offline. Long before Zimbardo, a French scholar named Gustave Le Bon noticed something similar just by watching riots. In 1895, he wrote that a man in a crowd descends several rungs on the ladder of civilization. Alone, he might be a cultivated individual. In a crowd, Le Bon argued, he becomes an instinctive creature, moving on impulse rather than thought. That sounds dramatic. It also happens to be measurable. Here is the mechanism. Your brain has a running internal narrator. It watches what you do and compares it against what you believe about yourself. Psychologists call this self-awareness, and it is expensive. It takes constant mental energy to keep asking, is this who I am? Is this what I stand for? A crowd interrupts that narrator in two ways. First, anonymity. When you are one face among thousands, the cost of being seen doing something drops close to zero. Nobody is going to trace that shout, that shove, that decision back to you specifically. Second, and this one matters more, is a shift in attention itself. In a crowd, your focus stops pointing inward and starts pointing outward, toward the group, the noise, the shared rhythm of everyone moving together. Researchers Ed Diener and later Stephen Prentice Dunn and Ronald Rogers built on Zimbardo's work and found that this outward shift, not the anonymity alone, is what predicts whether someone will act on impulse. The less you are thinking about yourself, the less that internal narrator gets a say. So the hoodless woman thinking about her reputation stays cautious. The hooded woman and the woman inside a screaming crowd is simply thinking about something else. Not, will I be caught? Just, what is happening right now? This is not automatically bad. It is not automatically good either. It is neutral machinery, and it explains both ends of human behavior at once. It explains the mob that turns violent in a way no single person in it would have chosen alone. It also explains the stranger who dives into a crowd to lift a car off a trapped child, something almost no one would attempt if they stopped to calculate the personal risk. Both are the same mechanism. Individual judgment stepping aside so collective momentum can take over. And here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Zimbardo later took this idea into a prison basement at Stanford, where he gave students uniforms and mirrored sunglasses and assigned them the role of guard. Within days, ordinary young men, screened for good mental health, were inventing cruelties nobody had told them to invent. The uniforms did to them exactly what the hoods did to the women in the shock experiment. They dissolved the individual into the role. You do not need a hood or a uniform, though. You just need enough people around you who are doing the same thing at the same time. There is a reason online mobs form so quickly, and researchers studying digital behavior have pointed to the same deindividuation effect at work. A username is not your face. A comment section is a crowd of thousands you cannot see and who cannot see you. The oldest trigger for losing your individual judgment, invisibility, is now available to anyone with a phone at any hour for free. But notice what actually restores the narrator. Studies on this consistently find one thing works better than almost anything else: a mirror. Literally. Researchers have found that placing a mirror in front of people performing a task sharply increases self-conscious, careful behavior because it hands the internal narrator its evidence back. You cannot forget who you are when you are looking directly at yourself. A crowd is the opposite of a mirror. It reflects everyone back at you except you. This is why a concert feels euphoric instead of frightening, even in a crush of bodies twice your size. The euphoria is not an illusion. It is your self-monitoring system taking a break, letting the shared rhythm of the group carry you the way it would have carried your ancestors through a hunt, a dance around a fire, a ritual meant to be done together and not alone. For most of human history, being seen as separate from the group was dangerous. Blending into it was survival. Your brain still remembers that, even in a stadium built for entertainment rather than defense. So the next time you feel your voice rise with a crowd, or your judgment loosen at a protest, a rally, a late-night comment thread, ask yourself a simple question. Would you still do this, say this, believe this, if everyone around you could see your face and knew your name? If the answer changes, you have just caught your internal narrator in the act of stepping offline. And catching it, oddly enough, is often enough to bring it back. You will stand in another crowd someday. Maybe a stadium, maybe a protest, maybe just a group chat that starts to feel like one. And when you scream, or shove, or type something you would never say alone, remember this: nothing in you changed the moment you walked through those gates. Something in you simply stopped watching.